Hello, dear friends of the internet. It is me, Edward, and today I'd like to talk to you a bit about inflation and whether or not the United States dollar will ever experience hyperinflation. A lot of people in the so-called silver community, people who buy silver bullion like this silver round right here, think that the United States dollar is doomed to fail sometime very soon. And I can certainly understand some of their concerns because the US government has been making some strange moves with things like quantitative easing from the Fed and whatnot. Things like spending more money than they take in. Yeah, that kind of stuff. But I can tell you, from my own personal experience, I don't see hyperinflation starting anytime soon in the US dollar. And I know a little something about hyperinflation because I experienced hyperinflation in Argentina back in the late 1980s. You see, in 1986, I moved from the United States to Argentina, and at that time, there was a new currency recently issued there called the Austral. Here you can see 1,000 pesos argentinos that's been remarked to 1 Austral. This is how they dropped 3 zeros from the currency. And here you can see the note that replaced this note. This is 1 Austral. Here you can see 10 Australes, which replaced 10,000 pesos argentinos. And what's interesting about these notes, and thinking back to that time in history, when I lived there from 1986 to 1989, I remember very well that there was some serious inflation going on per month. Every month from 86 to 89, we had about 20% inflation. Not on an annual basis, no, on a monthly basis. But the inflation hadn't even gotten started yet. In fact, the economy was doing pretty well overall. People were able to make enough money to buy what they needed, and the economy was just chugging along, even though the inflation rate was 20% a month. But the government was taking some really crazy steps and allowing the states to do some really unusual things. So for example, here you can see a banknote from the Provincia de Jujuy. This was actually a bond, but it was issued just like a banknote. So what it was it's a 1 Austral note issued by Jujuy, which is a state, or a province, I should say. It's a province of Argentina. And this note was a promise from the Provincia de Jujuy to repay the bearer on demand at a time in the future 1 Austral. So what they did was they issued that note and they said, okay, in the future, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, the Provincia will pay the bearer of this 1 Austral, which would be, of course, this. But what was really cool about that from the perspective of the Provincia, the ones who issued this, is they knew damn well that by the time that note was to be cashed in, wouldn't be worth anything. So it was an opportunity for them to create more cash from nothing as a province. I mean, imagine, I don't know, the state of Alabama or the state of Idaho issuing something like that. It would be crazy, and I suppose they don't even have the right to issue their own currency. A given state issuing currency with the promise to pay in a few months. But what's interesting about that concept is that fueled the hyperinflation. Now, the hyperinflation got started in March of 1989. I remember it so well because suddenly prices jumped. Everything went up just suddenly. The dollar jumped 100% in one day. It went from 15 australes to 30 australes in one day. And 4 months later, it took 5,000 australes to equal 1 US dollar. But keep in mind something here. This was after 3 years of constant 20% inflation per month, a relatively stable situation compared to the hyperinflation that followed in March of 1989. The point being is, if you're not seeing prices rising 20% a month over a period of 3 years, then you're not going to see hyperinflation anytime soon on the US dollar. That's the way I see things. Thanks for watching.